my dear friends. Every great breakthrough begins long before anyone sees it, before the victory is celebrated, before the miracle becomes visible, before the testimony is shared. There is usually a hidden place where faith is built. That hidden place is prayer. Many people spend their lives searching for answers in the wrong places. They chase opportunities, connections, wealth, education, or influence. While these things have their place, none of them can replace a living relationship with God. Prayer is not merely asking God for things. It is fellowship with the one who holds your future. Throughout Scripture, we discover a consistent pattern. Whenever God prepared someone for greatness, He first developed them in His presence. Moses encountered God before leading Israel. Hannah prayed before Samuel was born. Daniel prayed before receiving divine wisdom. Jesus Himself regularly withdrew to pray before performing mighty works. Prayer changes more than circumstances. It changes people. Before God transforms your situation, He often transforms your heart. Before He opens new doors, He strengthens your character. Before He lifts you publicly, He prepares you privately. Perhaps you've been believing God for healing, restoration, financial provision, peace in your family, or direction for your future. You may wonder why the breakthrough seems delayed. Today, let's discover why a vibrant prayer life is often the foundation upon which God builds lasting victory. Every lasting breakthrough begins with a relationship, not a request. Many people approach prayer as though it is only a way to solve problems. But prayer is much more than presenting a list of needs before God. Prayer is an invitation into His presence. It is where your heart learns to trust Him. It is where your faith grows stronger than your fears. When you truly understand this, your prayer life changes forever. You stop praying only because you need something. You begin praying because you long to know the one who created you. That is where real transformation begins. God has never desired a distant relationship with His children. From the very beginning, His desire has always been fellowship. Throughout the Scriptures, we see men and women whose lives were changed because they learned to spend time in God's presence. Their strength did not come from their own abilities. Their courage did not come from favorable circumstances. Their confidence came from knowing that God was with them. The same invitation is extended to you today. No matter where you have been, no matter what mistakes you have made, no matter how difficult your present situation may seem, God is calling you closer. Every moment spent in His presence is never wasted. The world tells you to depend on your own strength. God teaches you to depend on His grace. The world says your value is determined by your achievements. God says your identity is found in Him. That is why prayer is so powerful. It continually reminds you who you belong to. When your relationship with God becomes your greatest priority, fear begins to lose its influence. Anxiety slowly gives way to peace. Confusion is replaced with clarity. Discouragement is overcome by hope. Nothing around you may appear different at first, yet something powerful is happening within you. Your heart is becoming anchored. Your spirit is becoming stronger. Your confidence is no longer built upon changing circumstances. It is built upon the unchanging character of God. Think about a child walking beside a loving father. The child is not afraid because every problem has disappeared. The child is confident because the Father is near. That is what prayer produces. It gives you the assurance that you are never walking through life alone. There will be seasons when answers seem delayed. There will be moments when you do not understand what God is doing. but a strong relationship with Him will keep your heart steady. You may not always understand His timing, but you can always trust His faithfulness. The more time you spend with God, the more you begin to recognize His voice. His word becomes alive within you. Your decisions become wiser. Your thoughts become healthier. Your reactions become more gracious. People around you begin to notice a peace that cannot be explained by human reasoning. That peace is the fruit of a life rooted in God's presence. Never underestimate what happens during quiet moments of prayer. While the world sees silence, heaven sees communion. While others see ordinary moments, God is shaping your character. He is strengthening your faith. He is preparing you for opportunities you cannot yet see. Many people seek a miracle. God often begins by building the person who will carry the miracle. He prepares your heart before He entrusts you with greater responsibilities. He develops your character before He opens new doors. He teaches you faithfulness in private before He brings influence in public. So do not measure your prayer life by how many words you speak. Measure it by how closely your heart is drawing to God. Every sincere prayer is another step closer to Him. Every moment in His presence is an investment that will never be lost. As your relationship with God grows deeper, your confidence becomes stronger, your faith becomes steadier, and your life becomes a testimony that true breakthrough always begins in the presence of God. Faith is never built in comfort. It is built in moments when nothing around you seems to make sense. Anyone can believe when the answer is already visible. Anyone can rejoice when the miracle has already happened. But real faith is revealed when you continue to pray while nothing appears to be changing. That is where spiritual strength is developed. Many people think that unanswered prayers mean that God has forgotten them. But silence is not the absence of God. Delay is not denial. There are seasons when heaven is working behind the scenes, even though your natural eyes cannot yet see it. Think about a seed that has just been planted. The moment it enters the ground, everything looks the same on the surface. You cannot see roots. You cannot see growth. You cannot see life. Yet beneath the soil, something remarkable is taking place. The seed is preparing for the day it will break through the ground. Your faith works in the same way. Every time you pray according to God's will, every time you stand on His promises, every time you refuse to give up, something is happening that your eyes cannot yet measure. God is strengthening your spirit. He is shaping your character. He is preparing you for the blessing that is on its way. That is why you must never allow discouragement to silence your prayers. Discouragement whispers that nothing is happening. Faith declares that God is always working. The difference between those two voices determines whether you continue or whether you quit. Many people stop praying only because they cannot see immediate results. But imagine if a farmer planted seeds today and returned tomorrow expecting a harvest. Everyone would call him impatient. He understands that every harvest has a process. He waters the ground. He protects the field. He remains faithful because he trusts that growth is taking place even when it is invisible. God calls us to have that same confidence. Trust Him even when you cannot trace every step He is taking. Trust Him when the answer seems delayed. Trust Him when the circumstances refuse to change. Because faith is not based on what you see. Faith is built upon the unchanging promises of God. Remember the storms that come into every person's life. Storms do not ask whether you are ready. They simply arrive. But those who have built their faith through prayer, do not collapse under pressure. They remain steady, not because they have all the answers, but because they know the one who does. When challenges arise, they are not controlled by fear. They are directed by faith. They have learned that prayer is not their last option. Prayer is their first response. There may be moments when people around you question your confidence. They may ask why you continue believing, why you continue praying, why you continue expecting good things. The answer is simple. Your confidence is not built upon human ability. It is built upon God's faithfulness. He has never failed His promises. He has never abandoned those who trust Him. What He has spoken, He is able to accomplish. So refuse to measure your future by today's circumstances. Measure it by the greatness of the God you serve. Keep praying when emotions tell you to stop. Keep believing when the situation looks impossible. Keep declaring God's promises over your life. Every prayer is strengthening your faith. Every moment in God's presence is making you spiritually stronger. Every challenge you overcome is preparing you for greater victories ahead. One day, what was hidden will become visible. What seemed impossible will become your testimony. The waiting season will give way to rejoicing. The tears will become songs of thanksgiving. And you will look back and realize that while you thought you were simply waiting, God was building an unshakable faith within you. That faith will carry you through every battle. Open doors no human effort could open, and position you to walk confidently into the breakthrough that God has prepared for your life. One decision can change the direction of an entire life. One moment of wisdom can save you from years of regret. That is why prayer is not only about receiving answers. Prayer is about receiving direction. There are many voices competing for your attention every single day. The voice of fear, the voice of doubt, the voice of public opinion, the voice of past failures, the voice of personal ambition. If you try to follow every voice, you will eventually lose your way. But when you spend time in the presence of God, your heart becomes settled. You begin to recognize His truth above every other voice. You stop making decisions based only on emotions. You begin making decisions based on wisdom. Many people ask God to bless the plans they have already made. But true surrender says, Lord, show me the path you have prepared for me. There is a great difference between asking God to approve your plans and asking Him to reveal His purpose. His purpose is always greater than your imagination. Sometimes the opportunity that looks the biggest is not the one that carries the greatest blessing. Sometimes the door that seems slow to open is leading you into the place God has prepared for you. Prayer gives you the patience to wait for God's timing, and God's timing is always worth trusting. Imagine driving through a thick fog. You cannot see the entire road ahead, but your headlights give you enough light for the next few meters. You continue moving because each step reveals the next. Walking with God is often like that. He may not reveal every detail of your future all at once, but He faithfully gives you the wisdom you need for today. As you obey Him one step at a time, He continues to guide your path. Many of life's greatest mistakes happen when people move ahead without seeking God's direction. They rush because they fear missing an opportunity. But what God has prepared for you cannot be stolen by another person. What He has planned for your life will not pass you by when you remain faithful. Prayer protects your heart from unnecessary distractions. Not every open door is meant for you. Not every invitation is part of your assignment. Not every opportunity is your calling. Wisdom helps you recognize the difference. There are moments when saying no requires more faith than saying yes. Prayer gives you that courage. It reminds you that obedience is always better than impatience. As you continue seeking God, something beautiful begins to happen. Your thoughts become clearer, your fears become quieter, your confidence becomes stronger. You stop chasing what looks impressive. You begin pursuing what has eternal value. People may not always understand your decisions. They may question why you are waiting, why you declined a certain opportunity, why you chose a different path. But peace is one of God's greatest gifts. When He leads you, there is a confidence deep within your spirit that no amount of outside criticism can remove. That confidence does not come from knowing every answer. It comes from knowing the one who holds your future. God is never confused. He never makes mistakes. He never loses sight of the purpose He has designed for your life. Even when unexpected changes occur, even when doors suddenly close, even when your plans fall apart, remember this: a closed door can become a divine redirection. Sometimes what feels like disappointment is actually protection. Sometimes the delay you resist today is preparing you for a blessing far greater than you imagined. So never underestimate the value of praying before making decisions. Bring every dream before God. Bring every opportunity before Him. Bring every concern into His presence. Allow His wisdom to shape your choices. Because when your decisions are guided by prayer, you walk with greater confidence. You avoid unnecessary burdens. You move with purpose instead of pressure. And step by step, day by day, God leads you into the future. He has lovingly prepared for your life, where every act of faithful obedience becomes another step toward the breakthrough He has already planned for you. There are battles in life that cannot be won by human strength alone. There are moments when experience is not enough, education is not enough, money is not enough, conscience are not enough. Those are the moments that remind us where our true strength comes from. Prayer is not an escape from reality. Prayer prepares you to face reality with courage, wisdom, and confidence. When you enter God's presence, something begins to change within you. The circumstances around you may still look the same. The challenges may still be standing in front of you, but your heart is no longer controlled by fear. The atmosphere inside you begins to change. And when the atmosphere within you changes, the way you respond to the world changes as well. Many people allow fear to dictate their decisions. They expect the worst. They speak defeat over their lives. They focus only on obstacles. But a person who has spent time in prayer begins to see through the eyes of faith. Instead of seeing only the mountain, they remember that God is greater than every mountain. Instead of being overwhelmed by uncertainty, they choose to stand on His promises. That change in perspective is powerful. It affects every conversation, every decision, every response, every step forward. Imagine walking into a dark room carrying a lamp. The darkness does not argue with the light. It simply disappears where the light shines. In the same way, prayer fills your heart with God's peace and truth. Fear loses its influence. Confusion begins to fade. Hope rises again. The situation may not change instantly, but you are no longer facing it alone. You are strengthened from within. History is filled with people who accomplished extraordinary things because they refused to surrender to fear. They were not fearless because life was easy. They were courageous because they believed God was with them. That same confidence is available to every believer today. Prayer reminds you that you are never abandoned. Even in seasons when you feel isolated, God remains present. Even when answers seem delayed, He is still working. Even when doors appear closed, He is preparing the right path. This confidence transforms the way you live. You stop reacting with panic. You begin responding with wisdom. You stop speaking words of defeat. You begin declaring words of faith, hope, and expectation. Your family notices the difference. Your friends notice the difference. The people around you begin asking why you remain peaceful during difficult times. The answer is simple. Your confidence is rooted in God's presence, not in changing circumstances. Modern research has consistently shown that people who engage in regular prayer and reflective spiritual practices often experience lower levels of stress, greater emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of hope during adversity. While scientific studies describe the emotional and psychological benefits, believers recognize an even greater reality. Prayer is more than a healthy habit. It is communion with the living God. It is where weary hearts find strength. It is where discouraged souls discover hope again. It is where broken lives are restored from the inside out. Never underestimate what happens every time you choose to pray. You are strengthening your spirit. You are renewing your mind. You are learning to trust God's promises above your emotions. You are preparing yourself to stand firm when challenges arise. And when the day of testing comes, you will not be shaken easily, not because you are relying on your own ability, but because your confidence has been built in the presence of God. Every prayer is shaping your heart. Every moment with God is building spiritual endurance. Every act of faithful trust is preparing you for greater victories ahead. Keep praying, keep believing, keep standing on His promises, because the God who strengthens you in private is also able to sustain you in public. And the peace He builds within your heart today will become the foundation that carries you confidently into every breakthrough that lies ahead. Many people think breakthrough is a single moment, one answered prayer, one open door, one unexpected miracle. But God's greatest work is often much deeper than that. Before He changes your circumstances, He transforms your heart. Before He lifts you to a new level, He develops your character. Before He entrusts you with greater blessings, He teaches you to remain faithful in the small things. That is why a consistent prayer life is so valuable. It shapes you into the person God created you to become. Prayer is not simply about receiving from God. It is about becoming more like Him. Every time you spend time in His presence, your perspective begins to change. You stop being controlled by temporary situations. You begin living with an eternal perspective. The things that once stole your peace no longer have the same power over you. The fears that once kept you awake at night begin to lose their grip, because your confidence is no longer built on what you see. It is built on who God is. Think about a tree planted beside a flowing river. During seasons of rain, it continues to grow. During seasons of drought, its roots continue reaching deeper. Its strength does not depend on changing weather. Its strength comes from where it is rooted. Your spiritual life works the same way. When your life is rooted in daily prayer, you become steady during uncertainty. You remain hopeful during difficult seasons. You continue believing even when answers seem delayed. People around you may wonder why you remain calm, why you continue smiling, why you refuse to give up. The answer is simple. Your strength comes from a place they cannot see. It comes from your daily fellowship with God. Many people are searching for shortcuts to success. They want instant results, instant answers, instant victories. But lasting breakthrough is built through daily faithfulness. One prayer may seem small. One morning spent with God may seem ordinary. One act of obedience may appear insignificant. Yet those faithful moments become the foundation of a transformed life, brick by brick. Day after day, God is building something strong within you. There will be days when you feel discouraged, days when your prayers seem unanswered, days when progress feels slow. Do not mistake silence for absence. God has not forgotten you. He is still leading you. He is still shaping you. He is still preparing you for what lies ahead. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not that your situation changes overnight. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that you remain full of faith while you wait. That kind of faith cannot be shaken by disappointment. It cannot be defeated by delay. It cannot be overcome by fear, because it has been strengthened in God's presence. As your prayer life becomes consistent, your words begin to reflect hope instead of doubt. Your decisions become guided by wisdom instead of pressure. Your relationships becomes marked by grace instead of anger. Your heart becomes filled with peace instead of anxiety. Others begin to notice that something is different about you. Not because your life is free from challenges, but because you face every challenge with unwavering confidence. Your life itself becomes a testimony, not merely because of what God has given you, but because of who you have become through walking with Him. So never underestimate the power of daily prayer. Every quiet conversation with God is shaping your future. Every moment spent in His presence is strengthening your spirit. Every act of trust is preparing you for greater responsibility. Remain faithful, remain expectant, remain committed. Continue seeking God with all your heart. Continue standing on His promises, even when circumstances try to discourage you. The breakthrough you desire is not only found in what God will do for you. It is also found in the person He is transforming you into. And as you continue walking with Him day by day, your faith will become stronger. Your peace will become deeper. Your purpose will become clearer. And your life will stand as living evidence that those who remain steadfast in prayer are continually being prepared for every good work.